Music, though, has always been a controversial issue, but it is a blessing to the Lord when done correctly. It is a curse when done incorrectly. Let me tell you, when we talk about spirit and truth, we need to have the Spirit of God in it, but there's some people with the Spirit of God who need to leave music alone. Bad music is worse than no music. There is an opportunity in the service for everyone to participate. It's called congregational singing. But don't think that God has called you to be a singer when you are tone deaf. That's not your gift. There are those who are gifted in music, who have been given leadership abilities. I look in the scriptures and I discover that according to Nehemiah, the 13th chapter, they were actually paid from the tithe. Listen to this, listen to this, listen to this. Nehemiah 13. He says, Lord, remember I did this. They had stopped receiving tithe and offering. They had put somebody named Tobiah to live in the storehouse. God, it was wrong because the priest and the musicians and the doorkeepers, those who labored for the temple, had to go out and work in the fields because they only could give spare time to the work of the Lord. And after a long day's work, they had to try to come into a choir rehearsal and give their best to the master. And it wasn't working. So I took Tobiah's stuff and I kicked it out. I told the people, return the tithe and the offering, and now they're getting paid. Who's getting paid? The preachers, the singers, and the doorkeepers. I don't know, but there must be a verse I've not yet read where there's something spiritual about dogging our own people. We will pay a plumber top price to fix our toilets, but want to argue about giving a preacher a gratuity or a musician some money to do what they do. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Rethink that thing. Why? Oh, I got to run. Why? Why? Why rethink? Stop and think for a moment. Malachi chapter 1. Write that one down. Malachi 1. God is mad at Israel. Why is he mad at Israel, preacher? Because they were going into their flock, finding cross-eyed sheep, crippled lambs, and bringing that to God for sacrifice. God gets a little sarcastic and says, what? Try offering that mess to your earthly governor and see how he receives it. And if you wouldn't even bring that slop, if Barack Obama came to your church, why should I accept it? Malachi 1 goes on to say, as nice and as powerful as your earthly rulers are, I'm a great king, and I deserve your very best. How dare you save your best for anything but me? So what is it that's happening when we require musicians to go and work at Walmart for 8 hours a day? And then they're supposed to come at the end of a workday, set their family aside, and spend their spare time working with a choir and planning the music program of a church. If that's how we want to do it, then let's don't complain about the quality at all. Let's just take whatever we get and call it a day. But if in fact it represents a great God, then we ought to position people to use their best time and their best talents in the service of God. Well, that's a theme that I get in trouble with sometimes, but that's biblical. Our people aren't committed. They're committed, they just got a family and a job. And there are only 24 hours in a day. We need 7-day-a-week ministries, 24/7. And who's supposed to be there? You want the pastor to man the 24/7 ministry, right? Because you're not willing to pay anybody to spend their best time, energies, efforts in the work of the Lord. I'm talking to you. I know I'm preaching to the choir. Y'all don't believe in that. I know. Spirit and truth. Truth is that God has positioned some people with the gifts and talents necessary and the desire to spend their time blessing the people of God and blessing Him through music ministry. And it has not lost its inspiration because we compensate for it any more than the sermon is not inspired because you pay me to study and preach. Work with that now. Truth is that God requires the best. He wants the best. Somebody says we shouldn't be wasting money like that. Wasting money. Do you know that there is only one time in Scripture where God determined the liturgy for all of His people? It's called the sanctuary service. Do you not know that God spent so much money on that service that you can't calculate its worth? Even the high priest wore a vesture that was worth a king's ransom. Why? Isn't that too much? It's not enough for what He represents. A great God. But we want to run church operations with people who do church as a hobby. It's not biblical. It's not biblical. Paul goes so far as to say, come on, use common sense. You don't muzzle the ox that treads the corn. Those who labor for the temple should be paid of the things of the temple. And an investment in human resources when it comes to the things of God pays off in great dividends. Jesus had positioned with Him 12 full-time workers. But the idea is if we're going to get the best, we've got to position people to give us their best. What else is truth? What else is truth?